Confidential. I'm so tired of you with these ones, sis. Like, I cannot.
You know you love it. You go to sleep talking about perm. You know it.
You know
It's gonna
what?
be on the merch. It's gonna be on the merch.
And it's so funny. Yeah, it should be on the merch just with the horns. But you know what's even more funny is I forgot what I was doing one day, and then I like got it right, and like everything in me, and I think I was in front of Dirk. I don't remember. I just went burn, 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 and people were like, people were like, what? Like what?
Yep, the spirit of the horns.
The spirit of the horns. Yeah,
is everywhere.
Yes, we're super
People
excited
gonna
to
be
be
walking
here
around
with
the city talking about bah.
for no
That's it.
reason, for no reason, for
No
reason.
reason at all.
But I love it. Yes, on the merch, we're gonna have to trademark it. And we're gonna have to your trademark it, and then we got to figure out how to spell it. Cause you spell it with a P or do you spell it with a B?
It starts with a P.
It's
Perm.
Burn. No, but I hear burn. But listen.
No, it's burn.
Listen, semi-Floridian. I don't, and then the Haitian accent on top of it, right?
I don't have a Haitian accent.
Tuesday, pure. Like, so how would we? So let's talk about it, right? So welcome to Crown Confidential, folks, right? So let's talk about
guys.
it. How would we spell firm? Like, how is that spelled?
It's the way I spell it, because, let me tell you the story. Okay?
All right, wait, story time.
Story time.
Finally.
So at work, we had this committee called the Fun Committee. It was me and another supervisor. So our job was to boost morale in the center. So we would go around in different days with different ideas, like St. Patty's Day, Donut Day, whatever. So we bring the snacks. So we would go to the new hires that would come in, and we talk about the Fun Committee and what we do. And then we just one day we're just like, bah, 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 bah. So that's just what we started doing. Every time we would be around each other, that's the way we started it. We were our own air horns.
I mean, somebody got to do it, right?
It's PR. No, P-U-R. Per.
Wait.
Yeah.
I thought. It's so. Let's get correct. How are we spelling it again?
It's P-U-R-R. Per. Per.
But wait. So my question. So wait, but sis, my question to you is now this, right? Like, the longer the firm, how long?
You would just elongate the R, so it would just be like R.
Yeah, but
R.
then the spelling changes depending on.
Yep,
So
after every per, it changes. So sometimes it could be pum, and it could be a question too, pum.
I love it.
You got different ways you can say it. It could be like, what you trying to say, pum? It could be so many different things.
You are so Florida right now. I cannot. This is like such a 305 conversation right now. Like it completely is. Like,
nah, I don't think it's a Florida conversation.
I think it is. It is a Florida conversation. You know why? Because we don't do that in New York. Like if I'm in the corner.
Whatever. If I was in New York, it'd be the same thing.
No, it's not. If you were in New York,
it would be goofy people out there. This is for all my goofy people.
No. So in Florida, I think it would be burn. Okay, clear. But in New York, it's like that's the difference. Like out there, it's more like 305s, and you have the horns. But out here, it's like
you're 305 though.
Huh?
That's Miami.
It don't matter. Listen, Florida is Florida, sis. The same way New York is.
There's different states to Florida. Just like you can't say Brooklyn and Queens are the same.
Oh yeah, most definitely. But Florida's Florida, sis. Y'all ain't got nothing but plant. No, there's nothing but farm vegetation. There's nothing in Florida. But you ready for the 5 things that are in Florida? Oranges, people that drive super aggressively. People that are really close to train stations, right? There's strip malls, and then there's people that say "perm." That's what's in Florida, sis. Yes.
No, see, you missed it. You're missing it because first of all, the aggressive drivers, they're all from New York and New Jersey.
I mean, clearly.
That moved down here
because they're trying to go 75 miles per hour. That's the whole piece.
Right. I mean, but that's whatever.
I cannot.
But you got alligators.
Oh.
Okay, there's an alligator in every freaking ravine, river, pond. I'm on the premises where there's an alligator everywhere.
I mean,
If you
that's
see a
true.
body of water, there's an alligator in it,
That's
or a
true.
snapping turtle.
Or it's
One of the
turtle.
two.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, alligators are like that's the crazy part. Like when you go out there, like it's not like you could go like like in New York you can go to Reese Beach or you can go to a lake and you're cool. You could just hop in and everything's great. Like out there, it's like either you're gonna get in shark infested waters, right?
Right.
Or you're gonna be in a swamp and you don't. You're not swimming in swamps because alligators are in
No.
there.
I
So
mean, even there's a river out here that people go swimming in. And I'm like, well, aren't you afraid of like the alligators? They're like, it's whatever. They see alligators, they go and make sure they remove it. I'm like, I'm never going in this body of water ever, ever in life, ever. Like,
Yeah.
you're just doing it so the
'Cause
water
it's-
moccasin could just swim by and it'd be all right. Like, nah,
nah, we're good.
we're
absolutely
good. I'm good on the river. First of all, I don't like swimming in rivers.
Mhm.
I don't like any body of water but the ocean. And even now, with the way pollution is, I don't trust that. No, I just stick to a chlorine pool.
You so bougie.
Yeah.
You so bougie.
I
Like
am.
if the end of
I am.
times were
I
coming,
mean, like, so
sis.
serious. Last year, I couldn't even go to the beach because why? The flesh-eating bacteria.
Yo, if the end of times were coming and like your maker or creator was like, Angie, I need you. If you're gonna live another 100 years, jump in the river. You would be like, nope. Sorry, you could kill me. Like, shoot me dead, God. Shoot me dead, Jesus. Like, you wouldn't even have like a conversation. You wouldn't even try and like negotiate, right? You just look Jesus straight in the face, and be like,
these are the ends. Nope, would not. I'm like, can I just go?
that too.
I'm good. I'm good. Can I just go? I don't want to see what this is going to be like in another 100 years. I'm really good.
But yeah, I mean, what I love about Florida is that you have some of the most beautiful beaches, I will say, right? Like, I'm not trying to knock anything, but I also think that Florida is a great place. Like, that's where I wrote my TEDx talk. Like, I couldn't write it in New York because there was just so much hostility and anger, and it was just like, this TEDx talk gonna come out like straight up rage from my ex, like no other reason, right? But for me, like Florida is a place where you can relax and you can, take it a little bit more slow. Although I feel like Florida, like I think that half the people that live in Florida have lived in New York the majority of their lives. Like
yeah.
the papers
Every
get
single one.
the papers get sent out there, and so but Florida, like let me tell you something. I had a great time on the vacations I've been out there, so don't knock on Florida.
I'm starting to realize I'm becoming a little bit more relaxed because the thought of a tornado doesn't scare me as much as it did when I first got there.
Also, wait, you got your street cred in Florida?
Yeah, what?
You got your street cred in Florida? Oh, so tornadoes
Right.
don't.
The other day, it was like storming out here, and all of a sudden we're watching TV, and it was like, tornado warning for Hillsborough County, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. What's next on TV?
Yo, and there's a tornado in Brooklyn. Like everyone's going to the store to buy milk, bread, and eggs, even if there is a tornado warning. And like people, like the weather's been really phenomenal. So the weather has been something to like these earthquakes and all these other things that are happening.
Freen, did you see that Antarctica was the highest it's ever been in life? 65 degrees. That was like a spring in New York. It was 65 degrees in Antarctica.
In New York, it's been like, I remember a few days ago it was freezing. Today it's pretty like, chill. Today feels like fall going into winter, not winter. It's like one of those days where you don't have to layer as much as you used to. And then like you have other days where you're just like 2 days from now, there may be like a winter storm. And then, in 4 days, it's 60 something degrees. So the weather's been pretty interesting to say the least, Brian.
For real.
Yeah. So story time.
Story time.
So I, for those of you that don't know, I am, I can't even say what I was thinking to straight with. I'm the executive director of a nonprofit organization called Hey There Beautiful. And today we were in one of my favorite schools. And I'm not going to shout them out. I don't want to, put their business out there, but I was in one of my favorite locations. I mean, all the locations are my favorite, but today in particular, this location has my heart. And So a couple of weeks ago, I told you I got some street cred, right? A
Mhm.
couple of months ago, I got some street cred from one of the sixth graders who told me, you cool, Miss D, right? So I got street cred, and then I told you like a couple of weeks later, the same location because there's multiple schools in there. They go from elementary school to middle school to high school, so they have every single grade there. Then I told you I got beef with like a second grader who was told me not to touch her, right? So today we were doing some really awesome visualization, and we were doing a really awesome party for my group, and I typically deal with a group of young ladies, and we had food for them. I didn't know the food was going to be a problem moving forward. And all of a sudden, we're in deep visualization, breathing through your nose. Inhale, confidence. Exhale, worry. Think about your dreams. And we're like really getting deep. Like it's already 5 or 6 minutes into this meditation. And these young boys started to kick in my door. And I was like, that's not happening. First of all, because I have cameras by my door, and secondly, like, why would somebody be disrespectful? So then we're done with the piece, and I go outside, and they're outside waiting for me. And they're like, "You're not opening the door," and I'm like, "Was I supposed to? Like, are you supposed to be here?" No, but we heard that you have pizza, and we want to know why the boys don't get pizza. And I'm like, "Wait, now I got beef with you?" And they're like, "I'm like, you kicking my like the audacity, like that's some Brooklyn ish. You kicking my door, and instead of running, you wait for me." And
The
I'm
nerve.
sitting there, yeah, and I'm sitting there because I'm like, wait, y'all don't care if I call your parents. You are so mad about me having, food and pizza that you're gonna kick in my door and then you're gonna wait for me. That's like smacking me in my face and then just sitting there, like just they were marinating in it and they were laughing and they were like joking and they were like, yeah, and in my mind I'm like, I think like I don't know what to do with my life in that school because part of me is like real Bushwick and it's like, I want to go to the street corner and like just, handle this like grown people. Like, I want to square up with these kids. And then the other part of me is like, my latest chant is Jesus is better than jail. Jesus is better than jail. Jesus is better than jail. And now
Yes,
like these kids are really testing me and offer some pizza, mind you, like it really wasn't that serious. But just like
that's crazy.
I feel like my thing is this, like, is no one scared of their parents anymore? Like my God rest my grandmother's soul, I'm still afraid of her. And she has been, resting in peace and resting in heaven and doing her thing, with Tupac and Biggie and all that other stuff. But like, I don't feel like kids are scared of their parents anymore. Like, are
They
they
not.
really friends? And in my
They
mind,
really
I'm
not.
like, I remember back in the day when like neighbors and people would have their kids' numbers. They would have parents or guardians' numbers on speed dial, and it wouldn't be anything but for some. I'm gonna call your father. Now it's like, oh, I'm gonna call your father. Oh, I'm gonna call your mother, and it's like, suck my D, Miss D. And I'm like, wait, like I thought I'm inspiring you, but now you know what I mean. And I just don't feel like these kids are not in any way, shape, or form. They are not afraid of their parents at
No.
all. And in my mind, I'm like, what kind of world do we live in where, like, not only is there no structure, but that they're so fearless and they're not afraid of anything? And so it was just like, in my mind, I was like, well, I shouldn't be afraid of anything. I'll go to jail for this, but right? But at the same time,
Mhm.
you're trying to be mature with it. So for me, it took me a little bit back because I literally, legit, Angie, I stood in front of this kid for 90 seconds. And I was like, what do I do with my life? Jesus is better than jail. What do I do with my life? And I'm
Mhm.
chanting it in my mind and stuff. I'm having a whole remix. Like, Meek Miller's on the remix. Drake is coming in. Jay-Z got a verse. And I'm saying, like, what do I do? Like, because the other part of you is like, you want to nip it in the butt and not be a snitch,
Yeah.
right? But at the same time, the other part of you is like, yo, you from Bushwick in this block. Like, go out there and handle your business, sis. Like, don't let them punk you because now I got these girls in the room that are like, well, what is she gonna do? Because some of them come outside and they curse these boys out like, F you, like get out of here. This is our time. But like, I feel like there's no like, not only no trust, but like nobody's giving anybody ass whippings anymore. Like, talk to me.
No, they don't. They really don't. These parents are more like you can't discipline a child. Like if there's no such thing. Like teachers can't. call their parents, be like, yo, your child's misbehaving. Oh, well, what are you doing to my child for them to misbehave? No, homie, your child is a bad seed. Like, he is a nasty little boy. Like, you need to get him in check. They want to check the teacher before they check the child, and it's like, no, I get it. Teachers can go overboard sometimes, but you got to be realistic about who your child is. Like, I used to tell my friend all the time, like, are you trying to raise little asshole, little butt? Like, you got to realize what you raising, because the way you raise them is how they going to turn out. So you want to raise respectable little kids, or you want to raise little butts? It's up to you.
And for me, it was just like, I was sitting there, I was like, the Brooklyn in me wanted to smack him. Like, was just like, go for a D, you'll be known. Like, all the educators in New York City will let you wear the crown. Like, I'll get the crown. Because part of you is just like, that Dave Chappelle skit, what did the five fingers, I really felt like saying, what did the five fingers say to the face? And just smack him and walk away. But then, like, I know my reputation, whatever, I would never do that, right? But then the other part of you is like, there's somebody that should be doing that to you regardless. Because literally, he jump kicked the door where you felt it in the middle. It was no like, oh, I kicked the door in. No, it was like kicking the door, waving the 4-4.
No respect. Like, there's a story of these boys that jumped. These 4 high school boys jumped their basketball coach because they lost the game. Yo. So they blamed the coach that they lost the game, and they jumped him after the game. They jumped their own coach.
And
like, how disrespectful can you be that you jumped your own coach because you lost the game?
Yeah, I mean, and then I think that's the piece. Like, not only where's the love, but just where's the level of respect, right? Because I think that, there is a level at which we get to operate, and we, even thinking about, like, I was raised. I was really raised by a village, right? But my grandmother could smell trouble. Like, if I walked through the door, she would just turn around. I wouldn't even put my book back down. What's wrong? What'd you do? Not a phone call in sight, right? Because we didn't have cell phones or pagers or beepers.
It absolutely does take a village, and that's the problem. The village is not here for it no more. I remember at one time when I was 16, like, I left my house, I got on the bus, I put lipstick on. By the time I got home, my mom knew I had put lipstick on. I'm like, but how? She's like, somebody saw you, and they told me.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry, but yo, can we bring back snitches? Not for, like, grown adults, right? But can we bring back snitches? Like, snitches on young kids, right? Like, not anybody over 18, you get a pass. But can we bring back snitches for 5 to 17-year-olds? Like, we should really, like, the snitch game gets to be strong, because I remember, like, even, like, God rest her soul, my own grandmother, like, she was the biggest snitch because she had a pillow, right, over her window so she don't get that, like, lean and she would just sit there all day watching people and snitching, right? Because that's all you do. Like, you got the telenovela police, that's what I call them, where you just sitting out there and you looking, and the whole point, the whole purpose is for you to snitch. Oh, let me tell you what Anna Maria did, and let me tell you who had who in their house. You know what I mean? Like, that Friday where they're just sitting there on the stoop and they don't have nothing to do. It's like, what's happening. I think that, like I said, I don't think there are enough snitches out here. Everybody's, like, really minding their business. Like, why are you like?
And when you're younger, you didn't realize how important that was, right? Because when you were young, it's like, dang, man, why you're not always snitching on somebody. Yeah. But now as you get older, you can appreciate that, because that just kept you in the right frame of mind. Like, all right, somebody's always watching me, so let me make sure I'm doing right. Yeah, and I'm out here, beating up coaches.
Yeah, and that piece of, like, or like they the kids say, oh, it's mad dry, which means it's whack. Or you dragging it. I don't believe you dragging it. It's really not that serious. And in my mind, I'm like, it is that serious, and we're not dragging it. Because that's the thing, when you're going too far, they're like, the principal took my phone away for the whole year. She dragging it. It's like, no, because you are on your phone on TikTok during every single solitary class. Like, of course, you know what I mean? And I think that that's the piece. It's that level of respect that we've lost as, like, a community. Because, like, I remember being afraid of getting, like, my thing was this, like, I didn't get, like, beat down or anything like that, but I remember the first whooping I would get wouldn't be from my, my family. It would be, like, from the inner circle, right? And then like
Right.
like the first is the look from the teacher. The second is, okay, you gonna talk to principal, whatever. The third is the immediate family out there. Like even the crossing guard knew if you were in trouble. And then you gotta go face. I had to go face my grandmother, and then I had to go face my aunt and uncles, and then it was my parents. So it was like, and it was like the wrath of hell. Like, we are coming for you, and it was like, oh, and I was really prepared. But now it's like no one, in the words of Hap, my wonderful friend, and dope artist, like, nobody knows, nobody cares. Like, I don't understand that. It's just it's way, for me, it's way too much to really even like fathom. Like, no one's threatened you, young boy. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely a different era.
Yeah, it is a different era. It definitely is. I mean, and at the same time, I do appreciate them because they do keep me on my toes. They do keep me laughing, because I did laugh about it. Like, at the end of the day, it wasn't so serious where it took us out of our element. But at the same time, I get to put my foot down too as an educator and just know, like, this is for the betterment of the kids. It's for the kids.
It's for the kids.
It is for the kids. I think that I think we should hop right into current events. There's just so much to talk about right now. I mean, I don't even know where to begin, Ange, on where to talk about things and where we go, right? But definitely,
Right.
I know you have some stuff available for us, because tonight, folks, our topic tonight is gonna be outgrowing friends. Something that has come up for 2020 for me on a personal level is the fact that I've outgrown many people who are currently in my circle, and having those conversations and what that looks like. And so I'm really here for it today, and I'm going to be, expressing a lot of different things. But I think that, like, one of the hardest things that we don't even know how to do as people is to really say no, and how to outgrow, how to explain to people that we've outgrown their habits, right? And I think that we definitely get to touch on that today. So I want to definitely leave time and open that up. So I want to get right into current events. So Angie, let's hit them with the first story.
Yes, let's talk about it. So, the Oscars were yesterday. They were yesterday? I believe so, yes.
Yes.
So let's talk about Hair Love. It's that little short film about the father who helped his little girl do her hair. It's such a cute and uplifting story. They won an Oscar for their short film, and the director, Matthew Cherry, dedicated his Oscar to Kobe, while also addressing the Crown Act, which is the act where you can't discriminate against a person of color for their hair. He also had that little boy on there who got suspended from school because he wouldn't cut his dreadlocks for graduation. So that was really uplifting to see that he brought him out there like he said he would, and that they got a chance to actually win an Oscar, which, as we know, doesn't really happen too often. Representation is not part of the award ceremony nowadays.
I mean, that too.
So that was really a nice piece to see. So then we're going to talk about the Justice Department is now officially
Wait.
investigation.
We got to talk about this hairpiece. We definitely got to talk about this hairpiece. And thank you for sharing it. What I loved about seeing that is not just the representation, but the fact that, like, I don't know many directors, but the ones that I do know really put their heart and soul into films. Shout out to Cecilia Mejia. You know who you are. Really big producer, doing really wonderful, amazing, beautiful things out there with her films and her project. And so, when you put your heart and your soul into something, it's really touching to see the fact that people are receiving the message, especially that message, right? I think that, like, if you have hair that you've been dealing with different textures, like myself, like I used to put relaxers in my hair, and now I'm embracing what, the natural state of my hair. And I think that for a long time I couldn't embrace it being what it was, because it was it's so nappy, or it looks this, or it looks that, and then people are just like touching your hair and telling you what to do with it and telling you that it should be straight. So I think that it's really great for people to start to embrace themselves. I think that is what the film is all about, is embracing yourself. And Oh, another shout out to one of my clients, Akila. Shout out, congratulations on your new addition. But she has this awesome movement called Curl Boss, and Curl Boss is really about identifying the love of your own hair through your own hair journey. I think that that's the piece
Mm,
that we all have our own hair journey, and we never just
absolutely.
like I've never discussed my hair journey. Like that's never been a conversation. And I think that the more and more that we do start to bring awareness to it, the more we can open other people's eyes and show different perspectives and different levels of perspectives. And I think that that's important because we as a people get to embrace one another. And I think that
Yep.
the hair is the first piece, right? So I think
Yep.
that that's a really dope win. Congratulations to them. It was really a beautiful night from what I saw, right? And in addition, Brad Pitt winning his first, that was really great. I think that it was great that from what I heard they did not have a host, right? And there was a lot of banter
Oh,
back and
really?
forth. Yeah, they've been
Oh,
doing away with hosts, and what they've been doing is they'll have banter. So you had a lot of different celebrities and people who were there that were able to come together, right, and bring some comedic relief to the Oscars because sometimes it's a little dry. For me, from my taste, sometimes a little dry. And you want entertainment. If you're if you are giving awards for entertainers for them to entertain you, then the show should be entertaining. Right?
mhm.
So my thing is that sometimes it's a little dry, it's a little stuffy. And I'm sure that it was a really beautiful. I mean, it was very well put out. It was very elegant, and then like just some of the fashion. It was just like really incredible to see people. Sierra, I mean, she was
She looks gorgeous.
gorgeous. I mean, she is just black girl magic. Like that should just be her hashtag. Like when you look it up, it's black girl magic Sierra. She looked
Mhm.
absolutely gorgeous, just embracing herself and really being a forefront for women out there. That is like I think that Ciara's whole turnaround from everything that happened with Future is like one of the most beautiful things, like that shows women like don't let your boyfriend get in the way of your husband. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
literally, don't let your future, right? Because he was
Mm.
future, right? Don't let not allowing your past to get in the way of your present. So Ciara is just like she's blossoming beautifully. She's just like sister goals, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
she is. She is. I love her. I love her and Russell. I
They're
think they're
so
really
cute. They are so cute.
they're they're gorgeous together. And their kids are so adorable.
Yeah, really and truly. What's next, Ange?
But yes, let's talk about the Justice Department has officially launched an investigation into the Mississippi State prisons after pressure from social media. So I'm sure we've all been seeing the videos and the clips of the way that inmates are being treated right now in Mississippi's prison system. It's deplorable how these videos are showing up with food and dirty cells and no hot water, no running water, backed up toilets. It's disgusting. A lot of inmates are really suffering. So they've officially launched an investigation into four of those prisons: Mississippi Penitentiary at Packman, the Southern Mississippi Correctional and Central Mississippi Correctional Facilities, and the Wolfman County Corrections Facilities are the four that will be under investigation from the justice system due to the pressure that social media and different celebrities and things have been putting on them to look into this and get this taken care of.
I think that part of prison reform and what's happening, I personally believe that part of part of our system is not in. We would make more money as a country if we were dedicated to rehabilitating people versus
Right.
correcting their behaviors. And I think that that is one of the deepest narratives in the work that activists are doing, the work that people feel is near and dear to them in relation to the way we are policed, the way we are
Mm-hmm.
judged, the way we are put behind bars. And I just think that if we were in the business, right? Because jail is a business. If we were in the business of reforming lives and supporting people and getting them from point A to point B, because a lot of people from, I love watching the First 48 and all those shows, and what I noticed about them is that the crime is being committed. Sometimes it's an act of love, right? Got it. We got the crazy boyfriend who loves the girlfriend, clear. But then there's often times where it's really about money, right? It's a petty larceny, or he went to go steal a pack of cigarettes, or he didn't have money for that evening to sleep or eat. And if we're able to rehabilitate people, we would have such a thriving country. I can only imagine what our world, the United States of America, would look like if our, prisons looked like luxury apartment buildings, right? That we all live in. That's like the standard, right? But we're showing people how to reform their lives. We're showing them how to, I don't know, graphic design work. We're showing them how to design. We're allowing them to be lawyers and dentists and supporting them and their dream so that they can be productive, because then when they make money, the United States makes money by taxing them. Right? So it's like we can really be producing millionaires and six-figure income households easily if we focused on rehabilitating lives. Okay, if this person is on drugs, how do we support them and what their next narrative gets to be, right? Because like I said, I think that, jail is one of the ways in which we're trying to correct behavior, but like 24 hours behind a cell is not going to correct behavior. It's going to cause more anxiety, more stress, more depression,
Right.
suicidal thoughts, and we push people to the edge. Like I can only imagine, like they push people so far to the edge where it's like, okay, the person committed suicide. That's in today's paper, and what's next? And it's such a normal part of the way that we live that it then becomes a deeper question. So are we here to police and make money, right? Or are we here to rehabilitate lives and support the what's next, right? Because I think that's the big narrative, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, look at Denmark, and look at some of these countries overseas. Like, they don't have jails. They have rehabilitation centers where they're treated like human beings. Like, they have programs.
Yeah.
They have, they're able to leave, and not necessarily leave the premises, but have opportunities to learn a trade. They have, like, mini apartments and not a cell. Like, they have a door, they have privacy, they have a bed, they have, things that look like an apartment, and they're able to rehabilitate them.
That's the next Shabba Rank song. Rehab, blah, tight, blah, blah, blah.
And then they leave that system, and they don't come back. That's the thing, they don't come back. I think Denmark has like the lowest jail time, like people that are returning to jail. Meanwhile, the United States is the highest.
Yeah, and that's a country that cares about their people. Because that's the difference. Like, countries that care about their people are going to create infrastructure to support people, not where we are we're enabling them or we're coddling them, but we're creating a self-sufficient society wherein people are able to thrive and not just live their dreams, but just live a productive life, right? Because I believe, everyone should live their dreams. That's my vision. That's my personal vision. But I also believe that people get to thrive in what it is that they love, whether it's their dream or not. And I feel like there's so many resources, but I also feel like there's like so much red tape in getting the resources, right? Like, you ever, like, to go to college, like that FAFSA paperwork to fill out, they want blood. They want blood. They want all of your cousin's social, name them. They want they want 37 phone numbers of everywhere you've been, every alias, what kind of chips did you eat yesterday, what are you allergic to. And it's like, by the time you fill out the FAFSA form, these kids a lot of them are young. You got to think about, you filling a FAFSA form, how old are you? Typically you're 16, 17, 18, and you're giving these forms to your parents, and some of them may not even read the language or know what it takes, right? And so parents will dismiss it. No, I'm not going to fill that out. That's not for me. And excuse me, I think that we create so many barriers around the programs that we have to offer, that are we really rehabilitating our people, or is just a good front? Is it the representative of the representative, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's next, Ange?
So let's talk about Erykah Badu. She's been known to really be someone that makes the men that she's involved with changed their whole life. She changed a couple of people's lives. Like Common changed his whole entire life. Andre 3000, he was not the Andre 3000 we know until he met Erykah Badu. So due to that, she's releasing a perfume that smells like her lady parts.
Mm-hmm.
That's to be released on the 20th on the world market. And she says, well, if everyone keeps saying that it's, the thing, why not market it? So it legit smells like her, nether regions, which is interesting.
I mean, the great part? This is the thing. They've created a frenzy around it, and so everyone's going to want to smell it. That's the whole piece. Like, and maybe, you go into, I don't know where they're selling it from. That's the other piece. Because if they're selling it in CVS, you can't even get a sample because it's behind the lockbox. But if you're selling it in Macy's, at least I could get a spray. I mean, I think that it's great marketing. I think that she's a genius. And I think that, the fact that you believe, and that's the thing. What if it's not true? What if it's just made for you to, hey, I have, there's only going to, like, she can easily say there's 1,000 bottles in the world. And they're $100. And you have 24 hours to buy them. And in that, right, 1,000 bottles at 100, in that amount of time, she's made $100,000. Just by saying that, right? And it's that FOMO, fear of missing out. I mean, I wouldn't fear missing out on the smell of her vajayjay, right? But at the same time, I do want to be able to share that, that privilege with someone else and say, hey, I was able to smell Erykah's vajayjay. What did you do today? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think she's a marketing genius. She's always been a marketing genius. She's always pushed past what people have told her. Like, because of her, other artists were able to branch out, right? Other people were able to be inspired by her. And so she's 100% that woman. And she does and she's so cool about it. Like, what I love about her is that she is just Erykah. And she's never trying to be anybody but Erykah. If you see her in the street, she's just Erykah. She's just a regular person who wants to live her life and just chill. Like, I think Erykah would be like the best wing woman. Like, she's like, hey, let me sing y'all song together. Spray my perfume.
She's a regular schmegler girl.
Yeah, she is. And I love her, and kudos to her. I think at this moment, especially where we are with social media, with marketing, we have to be able to push past the envelope of just being regular. Like, if you really want to be extraordinary, there are things that you get to do, and I think that is a great marketing ploy. You know what I mean? I mean, what's next,
Yeah.
I can only imagine what's next. She's going to bottle her bath water. She's going to bottle her sweat. Like,
and people out there gonna buy it.
They definitely are going to, right? I could see the lines at Walmart right now, like Erykah's vajayjay perfume. Like, Erykah vajayjay's perfume is gonna be $79 today from $179, in the line around the block for people to buy it, like Jordans. But she's doing her thing, and she's been an impact to many people, and she is somebody that gets to do whatever it is that she wants. Like, who are we to put her down because we didn't think about it first? Because that's the other piece too, right? People are like, oh my goodness, that's so. Did you smell it? Does it really smell like it? And if it does, great. I'm hoping it smells great, and I'm hoping it smells good, right? I mean, for me, you know what I think it smells like? I think it smells like the inside of the Africa shop that's on, like, what is that, Atlantic and Fulton, right by the PC Richards in front of MSK. If any of you have been there, like, she probably, like, when you walk in to get your African soaps, she probably smells like every single solitary fragrance in there.
Like Egyptian musk.
Yeah, like Egyptian musk, straight up and down. Like, you just smell it. She probably smells like, I don't know, what a full moon circle smells like after they sage. Like, that's her, and I'm proud of her. I mean, I think she does dope work. She can sing, and she could do, like, that's the thing. We in 2020, people are gonna do whatever the hell they want with or without your permission. So, how do you think it smells, Angie? Probably smells like shea butter.
I agree with you. I think it's gonna smell like like some dudes on the corner on Malcolm X Boulevard. Like, oh, come here, I got some oils for you.
Yeah, yeah, right. That would be the great part. I mean, maybe she just smells like incense. That's what I see her smelling
It
like. I
don't
think
smell
that
like
she just smells.
frankincense and myrrh. I don't know.
Yeah, she smells like frankincense and myrrh all day and sage. Maybe you know what? I think frankincense and myrrh is her JJ smell, and maybe her butt smell would be sage. Like, like Erica's out here doing it. Like,
Just
and you know what?
a dash of rose.
A dash of rose water,
Yep.
and then her underarms probably smell like peppermint, Dr. Brenner's peppermint. We shouting them out all tonight, right? But she
Oh,
probably
man,
just,
it's
you know,
funny.
watch it just be some regular schmegular like J Lo perfume. Watch her spray it and be like,
Some
what the
gardenia.
hell is this? Yeah, is that like what is it, Jupiter or something? Is that Bay Breeze with like one of the smells from Bath and Body Works? Is that white candle, sis? Like.
I was talking about that with somebody at work the other day. Talking about I'm too grown to be smelling like Bath and Body Works.
Yes, imagine that. She probably smells like one of the Bath and Body Works kids, right? Remember them old kids from the 90s? It was like, hey, I
What
love
was it
you.
the one though? Cucumber.
Cucumber melon. Yo, imagine she did the whole psychedelic, like, yo, so what y'all got is cucumber melon updated in 2020, B. Yo, I mean, and you know what? Sometimes that's the ploy. Imagine it's like Florida water, like real Puerto Rican. Like, wait a second, this has the healing powers of what Lake Minnetonka or something like that. Like,
Lake Minnetonka.
like at the end of the day, like imagine that's like, no, that's healing water, bitch. It's like that's so her. You know, I love the fact that she pushes the envelope. But you know what? I'm really curious to smell what it. I really want to smell. I really do want to take a sniff. And at the end, the other piece too is, you know what I will do is I'll probably go with somebody like, yo, you smell it first. Like, you smell it first. You taste it first.
Oh man, I mean, well, it's available on February 20th on her World Market.
On her world market,
Yep.
and you can only get it on her website.
Yep.
Nice. Marketing, folks. Marketing. Definitely stay tuned. It is Crown Confidential. You are live here on WEMS Radio. When we come back, we're gonna talk about outgrowing friends, outgrowing situations, outgrowing people. You know, I got a little story time for y'all. Story time?
Story time.
I have found that when I'm telling stories on the radio or when, it can be anything. A lot of times I don't like to use, I really don't like to use names, per se, right? People know who they are, but I got I've been getting messages from people who think that I am talking about them. Like when I get on the show, people they're like, "Oh my God!" But like in 1991 on your sofa, like I didn't mean to offend you. And in my mind, I'm like, "Okay, great, thanks for listening to the show, right?" But I think that at the end of the day, the show is not meant to offend or bring light to older situations. I think the show is, for me, my intention of the show is to educate, never to diss or never to harm. You know what I mean? And I think that at the end of the day, I've been through so many different situations, and then when I bring up certain stories, some people, I have had people in my inbox that are truly offended by things that I've said here on the radio, and the great part about that is that we're able to have a dialogue and we're able to have a conversation. The sucky part is that I'm having conversations with people who have, held the relationship in what it was in 97 or what it was in 2003 or what it was in 2012, not knowing I've outgrown all of that. And so the great part that, they say, Les Brown says, if you're going to tell a story, make a point. And if you're going to make a point, tell a story. And so the whole basis of that was really, I'm not here to offend. I'm here to educate. And I think tonight is going to be one of the more difficult topics that we get into, is really outgrowing friends. Because what I'm noticing is that my circle has been shrinking significantly and growing with leaders and shrinking with the mediocre. And some people are not ready to hear that. And so when we come back, yes, I'm going to leave you with the teaser, right? When we come back, we're going to talk about outgrowing friends, outgrowing situations. I think that one of the hardest things as humans is experiencing our own growth and knowing that no one has our power, and then what that takes to make those shifts. So when we come back, and we're gonna spill a lot of tea, right? Not gonna name no names, maybe, but we're definitely gonna be spilling some tea, and we're gonna really support, each and every one of you with, your what's next. And also, if you have any questions, that you'd like to add to this arena, definitely DM us on Instagram, Crown Confidential, CROWN Confidential. If you don't know how to spell it, Google it, because I don't know how to spell it either. No, but it's Crown Confidential, CROWNCONFIDENTIAL. Definitely hit us up, and hit us up in our DM. We want to hear your questions. We want to hear your comments. We're going to be reading them today. So definitely add us at Crown Confidential. We really want you to be part of this conversation. So when we come back, it'll be live with Miss Ange and live with, of course, me, Dalisha, your coach, your friend, and the person that's going to spill some tea in this next segment. So stay tuned. It's Crown Confidential, folks.
Black man in America. Ooh, you should see the way they stare at us. Ooh, I can tell you that they scared of us. It's funny how we gotta build a trust. Too many things that ain't going right, but I got a lot of hope inside. If Jesus coming, will he come in time? Cause right now I think we gotta fight. Gotta fight for what we love and what we feel. Like Kaepernick on fields when he kneels. We say we wanna change, what's the deal? How many more of our people they gotta kill? It's okay, I just came to talk, and you don't gotta say no more. Turn around, there's an open road. Which way you tryna go? I think I'm about to walk. I think I'm about to walk. Cause I can't take a loss. I can't take a loss. No, I can't take a loss. I can't stay to hear you talk. I can't stay to hear you talk. I think I'm about to walk. I'm about to take a walk. Yeah. It's my time on the clock now. Hold up. Let me talk to the G's on the block now. Killing one another, getting crossed out. Running from police with your piece, now you getting locked up. You stay shooting, but you not clutched. Smoking dope, taking pills with the lean till your mind's dust. You need to open up your eye, bruh. It's propaganda to your eyes over time till your mind bust. Don't you wanna be free? Be one with the earth and unleash your energy. Feel the energy as they wrap you in the light. Manifest yourself and see your visions come to life. Beware the men in white who turn into the men in blue. The killings may be different, but the eyes are still on you. They used to take the Negroes, hanging by the noose. So it doesn't matter if your hands up, they still shoot. I'm about to walk. I'm about to walk. Cause I can't take a loss. I can't take a loss. No. I can't take a loss. I can't stay to hear you talk. I can't stay to hear you talk. I think I'm about to walk. I'm about to take a walk. About to take a walk with me now. Walk with me now. Walk with me now. I'm about to take a walk. Walk with me now. Walk with me now. Walk with me now. Cause I can't take a loss. No, I can't take a loss. I'm about to take a walk. I'm about to take a walk.
Let's get it back, even if it's wrong. You and I can act like it's all good. We both know that it's all done. Even though I hope someday, one day, you gotta say what's real. Just speak on how you feel. Just tell me nice, you know I'm about that life. You got a brother tripping real lately. You gotta say what's real, just speak on how you feel. Just tell me what it do, my lady. Talk to me nice, you know I'm about that life. But first, girl, answer these questions. Yeah. Do you want me, baby? Do you want me back? It might be wrong, but we gotta face all the facts. Do you miss me? Tell me that you miss me, girl. Don't wanna be the only one in my feelings, girl. Do you want me, baby? Do you want me back? It might be wrong, but we gotta face all the facts. Do you miss me? Tell me that you miss me, girl. Don't wanna be the only one in my feelings, girl. No, no, no. No, 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 no. No, no, no. Girl, why are you in my mind today? What is wrong with me? Am I okay? Getting calls from you makes it all feel good, but seeing you with him, I wish a nigga would. You gotta say what's real, just speak on how you feel. Just tell me what it do, my lady. Talk to me nice, you know I'm about that life. You got a brother tripping real lately. You gotta say what's real, just speak on how you feel. Just tell me what it do, my lady. Talk to me nice, you know I'm about that life. But first, girl, answer these questions. Yeah. Do you want me, baby? Do you want me back? It might be wrong, but we gotta face all the facts. Do you miss me? Tell me that you miss me, girl. Don't wanna be the only one in my feelings, girl. Do you want me, baby? Do you want me back? It might be wrong, but we gotta face all the facts. Do you miss me? Tell me that you miss me, girl. Don't wanna be the only one in my feelings, girl. No, no, no. No, 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 no. No, no, no. Girl.
Best thing about a girl, well, shorty is your whole world. Baby, you my everything. Baby, you my everything. Compare the life to the love, and girl, you know I'm heaven sent like the white on the dove. I'm trying to show you what I mean and do right by my lady. Put it on my heart, girl, you know that you my baby. You know that you my baby. You know that you my little boo, what up? I'm trying to fly where you ain't never flown. Take you different places you ain't never gone. If loving you is right, I ain't never wrong. Here we gon' get it on to the early morn. Shorty know I'm attached, put my location in her phone so she know where I'm at, and I'ma keep it real. And shorty, you know the deal, I'm fantasizing for real, for everything that you feel. Better days when we all alone, it's the coolest vibe. Bumping Ricky Blaze, thinking about just you and I. You make me feel like I ain't never felt, and I only want you and nobody else. You know it's our time and it's the right time. I put my soul on it, you my lifeline. You mean the world to me, you my baby girl. Little boo, everything, I'ma change your world. Compare the life to the love, I'm trying to show you that you all the above, and you was never a dove. Compare the life to the love, I'm trying to show you what I mean and do right as your king. Compare the life to the love, I'm trying to show you that you all the above, and you was never a dove. Compare the life to the love, I'm trying to show you what I mean, I'ma give you everything. Long life I'm trying to live, I'ma show you what it is, you don't ever have to worry again. Can't nobody do you foul, swear to God I'll hunt them down, and you'll never have a worry from them. And I'ma change the perspective, we could got each other, all we needed was direction. Yeah, I made mistakes, but you helped me with correction. We was meant to be, this is something I don't question. The hardest things bring us closer, your presence is the greatest, all I needed was some closure. Grab you by your hand and do right like we're supposed to. I'ma be the man that's gonna show you off and post you. I wanna fall in love with you, long nights in the tub with you, booty rubs for you. I wanna make love to you, nobody else, so I'm stuck with you. You the love of my life. Compare the life to the love, I'm trying to show you that you all the above, and you was never a dove. Compare the life to the love, I'm trying to show you what I mean and do right as your king. Compare the life to the love, I'm trying to show you that you all the above, and you was never a dove. Compare the life to the love, I'm trying to show you what I mean, I'ma give you everything. Compare the life to the love, and girl, you know I'm heaven sent like the white on the dove. I'm trying to show you what I mean and do right by my lady. Put it on my heart, girl, you know that you
We're back live on Crown Confidential, folks. Super excited to be here with you. We got Miss Ange live from Tampa, who is going to be touching base shortly, and myself at Dalisha here. Super excited to be here with you this evening because I think that we get to talk that talk. And that's what it makes Crown Confidential, that we get to talk that talk and really be honest and have open and transparent conversations. And what I've experienced lately is this complete shift with the ideals that I have and then the ideals of my past. And what's come to the forefront is the ideals of my past don't necessarily make the ideals of my future. So a lot of times is what we call like when you're changing, right? And what I've noticed is that as I'm starting to evolve, my circle is starting to shrink because I don't feel the way that I used to feel back in the day, and I don't want to really exhibit those behaviors, right? And so what I'm experiencing on my end on a personal level is growth, and it's scary as hell, folks. Like when we're thinking about shifting or when we're thinking about growth, it's really uncomfortable. It's really a place where you're uncomfortable, and to take your life and your career and your circumstances to the next level where you're not living paycheck to paycheck, where you're not in your excuses and you're not living in victim village, right? It really takes a lot. It takes a lot for us as humans to really know, like, this, I don't need this anymore, right? But it's also hard because then we've created attachments to people based on our prior behaviors. And I think that that's like really one of the biggest keys in the elevation and in the growth is just knowing like my past behaviors attracted these people, and now I want to relinquish those behaviors because that's not me, and I want to be a new person. But then it's also having attachments to people who see you as you were in the past and not accepting who you are, your newness in its face value. And so tonight, in talking to the bestie and in talking to one of my dear friends, Ange, we were really like we were trying to figure out what we had just had a 3.5 hour conversation, right? It's so funny because we should have just recorded the conversation we had. Like that would have
been it.
For real. Burn to that. But so we had a 3-hour conversation about what we're about to have a conversation about now, and it was just really telling because we were both sitting there dumbfounded, like, wow, like what people experience of you, right? And how I would say how words linger and how they move, it's really telling and indicative of the intentions of people. And so for me, it was just like, we had this conversation. It's like, well, what do we talk about? And it's like, we talk about how, outgrowing friends. And I think the first thing we get to do is define like what outgrowing a friendship is. So Ange, what's outgrowing a friendship?
For me, friendships, they have to be able to evolve. If you want that friendship to last and be something that's enduring, it has to be able to evolve with the persons involved. If that evolvement is only one-sided, then you're not getting the, for lack of a better word, nutrients that you need out of it. Because people change on the daily. My experiences that I had yesterday have changed me for today, and so on and so forth. But if the other person is not willing to change or move with that experience that you're now experiencing, or that person that you are now on, then it's kind of a stagnant relationship. And that's when you have to kind of say, you know what, this isn't serving me. I need to let this go. Is it hard? Absolutely. There's been plenty of friendships that I have let go because they no longer served me. I'm a firm believer in this quote. Everyone comes into your life for a reason, a season, and a lifetime. And you have to determine which of those three they fall into. Not every relationship or not every friendship you have is going to be a lifetime.
Yeah, but see, then that's the thing. So then I want to play devil's advocate because a lot of, individuals who are like, well, I have had a friend and, we've had a 20-year relationship and I would never give that up for anything. And so are we like, because I find folks attached to lengths of time versus the richness of the relationship, right? Like, okay, so you can get this analogy really well, because mom pickles a lot of stuff, right? So like the longer that she pickles it, the better it is. But sometimes it's not the length; it's also the flavors that she puts in it, and it can be
Right.
1, 2, 3, or 4 days, and you have a great product versus, hey, this has been sitting here for 2 months and it's not the same. It's not really serving me. And I think that a lot of times we get attached to lengths. Oh well, I know her since '87. Oh well, I knew him since 2001, and
Right.
we've been rocking since then. And to play devil's advocate, a lot of what I experience and I hear is a lot of people getting caught up on time, and because a friendship has been they have been in a friendship for so long that they don't identify with anything outside of that friendship. And so what do you say, like, I want your opinion on, like, oh, but she's my friend and it's been 20 years and I'll do anything to make it work. Like, what do you say about that? Because I think that, yeah, I think the outgrowing piece is one thing, but then people, they want to validate I find that people want to validate mediocre people in their lives with time.
Right.
And so,
I mean, to me, time, it does, of course, play a factor, but then you have to really look at it. If that person, if you're, let's say you've traveled around the world and your friend is still in the same space, do you really have those things in common anymore? Like you're talking about, oh, I've been to a Tibetan monastery in the hills of Timbuktu.
sis, really? Like,
You know,
that's the analogy?
I've drank rose water with the Dalai Lama. Are you still going to talk about the same thing with your friend that you talked about when you were 20?
But some people do. That's just the point. Like, some people feel like, you know what? This is my friend till the end, no matter what. And they, people walk into the sunset and they think that friend is meant for them, when in fact it's just like, your energy levels match, and the way, because the thing is that I've had really, really long-term friendships just come to a halt because I either no longer want to deal with the BS, so I just feel, and not that I feel like I'm better than. That's the other thing, folks, right? Outgrowing someone doesn't mean that you're better than them, right? Because that's the other thing. People are like, oh, the person thinks I'm better than you, or they change. And then, like, Jay-Z said it best. Did you think I was going to say the same?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, Jay said it best. And when he said that hit me. He was like, oh, they say you change. And it's like, but did you think I was going to say the same? Right? Because that's the other piece. I think that there's part of people that want other people to stay the same so that they don't have that, oh, my friend outgrew me. And so then,
Right.
then was that really your friend to begin with, right?
Exactly. And that's the thing for me. That's why I say, like, friendships have to be fluid. Like, you have to be fluid. Like, I do have a friend that, we've been friends for a very long time. And were there points in our friendship where we didn't speak? Absolutely. But we went our own different paths. But then we came back together. And, of course, we weren't on the same wavelength, but we had to learn to get back to what was essential to our friendship. And that was the love that we had for each other. And we had to always to make sure that there wasn't any animosity or jealousy involved in that situation, because that's a lot of times where friendships tend to go wrong, because one person might be resentful of another person's change.
Yeah, and then that's the piece, right? So then let's get into that, right? Because we talked about outgrowing. And for me, outgrowing is really evolving from your, you being that caterpillar to that butterfly. At least to me, that's what it is. And outgrowing someone isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like, I recently hired someone. We recently hired an assistant, someone to support us, right? And the first thing I said was, I don't want you to be here long. I don't want you to be here long because the longer that you here, the longer I'm holding your dreams captive. So what is it that the first thing that I said to this person was, what is it that you want to do with your life? And they were like, wow, never heard of that. I want to do ba 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 ba. I said, okay, so let's create a game plan for you to be here for this amount of time, and then let's create an exit strategy for you so that you can go and live your best life. And I think that we often fall short of wanting to see people succeed because, people don't want to do life alone. People are really afraid of doing life alone. And my thing is that the greatest people in your corner want you to grow, and knowing, like, it's part of one of the 4 agreements, not taking it personal. And a lot of times, like, I see it often, like, back in the day, and some people may disagree, and I hear y'all out there already, like, please, D. But, like, back in the day, I was a tyrant when I first started HTV. I wanted it one way. I didn't want to hear anything. Meetings were 4.5 hours long. People who were making empanadas shouldn't have been. Sorry, Stacey. Right? People who were supposed to be supporting in other ways were cutting out watermelons. Sorry, Durga. Right? But in that, right? I learned I was a tyrant. I was in my ego. I was really mad and angry. I took everything personal, and I could care less about your success and your growth, because your success and your growth meant it was going to be detrimental to HTV. Right? And so, like, I had to check myself. I really had to check, because the organization wouldn't be what it is if I lived in my ego and took things personal. But oftentimes it's like I've noticed that that as I'm ascending, right? Because you can't bring everybody on the flight, that there are more and more people who are disturbed by the elevation or the growth versus clapping for it. Like, why would you want me to be in the same place that I was last year if you're my friend? And so that's the piece. It's like, are the people around us friends because they're our friends, or friends because of time?
Right. That's a good question. That's only something that you'd have to evaluate the situation and see. As the saying said, misery loves company. So a lot of times people are in situations because they're miserable together.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of times you have coworkers that are now friends because all y'all did was bash about the job.
Yeah, but how do you? But that's the piece.
I find that however long you were in that job for, whether it be 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Like, I had a friendship with someone with people at work would get jealous because we were so close. And we were like the best of friends. We went out together. We did everything together. As soon as I left that job, I no longer heard from that person. It was like silence, radio silence. It was just beep. Because now what we had in common is no longer there.
But how do we tell the difference? Because I think that's the piece. Because it's that the scenario really. I think that the theory is like, when you're around someone all the time, you're gonna be more connected to them because you're around them, right? It's just like high school. When you leave high school, oh my God, I'm in a car, and it's like 50 people that you're friends with, and maybe you are in contact today with 2 or 3, right? And so it's that piece. But it's like, how do you, and I'm going to bring it back to me later, right? But how do you tell the difference? Because I think that that's the other piece too. Are we wearing friendship masks? Right? Like, you got the friendship bracelet. Are we wearing friendship masks because of time, right? Or are we really have a vested interest in our friends?
Yeah. I mean, it really depends on that dynamic. Sometimes your friends due to a particular situation, a particular partnership, a particular business, and now that your role has evolved in that particular business, that friendship is no longer necessary. And it really is all about maturity, how mature you are to recognize your area in that friendship and where it stands in your life.
No, but I want answers now. Like, I want answers now. Like, how do that's my been like, I think that's the devil on one shoulder and the angel on one side. How do you actually know that someone is on your team? Because this is the thing. I know how I know, because there are a handful of people that I could count on right now to pick up a phone call. If I were to call them and tell them I'm in this situation, I need this and I need you to make this happen. There are a handful of people, right? But like, how do you know, like deep down, like that's my friend and that's not a mask? Because I think that at the core of it, it's really identifying, is that my friend or are they wearing a mask? Because it's just like when you become a rapper, right? You ever see Meek Mill when he's rapping? There's 50 dudes behind him and everybody's like, oh, that's hot. Oh, that's hot. Me, I'll be the first one to be like, yo, can you run that back? Because you was off beat, right? Like you don't, you know, that's the real one in the room who doesn't care about being liked. And it's like, are we dating people? Are we having relationships with people who have a mask? Or are we really having friendships? And it's like, how do you know? Like, really, how do you? Wait, let me ask in the Dave Chappelle way. How do we know?
You got to keep your head on the swivel at all times. And I find during the toughest situations, or during, you know, periods in your life where you really need a friend, and it's a tough place for that friend to be in. You know, I'll give you an example where I dated this guy who happened to be a friend of a friend. Now, this was who I called my best friend, and, you know, my very best friend. I did whatever it was that she needed me to do, I was there for. I kept all her secrets. As soon as she found out I was dating this person, the first words out of her mouth was, I knew him longer. So therefore, you know, you do what you do, but if y'all should ever, you know, to me that said, okay, you knew him longer, so if we break up, your loyalty is to him. Mm-hmm. Even though he was a friend of a friend, mm-hmm. and your best friends with his friends, doesn't mean you're his best friend. You're just friends with him. You know of him, but you're not his best friend. But you're just friendly.
Yeah, and that's the piece. You know, it's so, for me, it's been so interesting to see how quickly people turn. Like, mm-hmm. we built. Because listen, at the end of the day, I love seeing not just women win, because I keep on saying women, but I love seeing people win. Like, I love seeing Sierra and Russell out there doing their thing. I love seeing J&B doing their thing. I love seeing Michelle and Barack. Like, they're out there killing the whole game, right? And they're doing what they love in their partnership and their love. I love seeing my friends win. You know what I mean? It's just something about the magic of people when they get together and they let their egos aside and they're actually doing something that they love as a unit. Like, that's amazing. Like, let me get the secret sauce. Like, you know, for me, it's like that ancient recipe that grandma has. 1 dash of this, 2 scoops of this. You don't know what goes in here. It's just a lot of heart and love. And I just feel like I've seen so many people turn their true colors and turn their coats, right? Just all of a sudden. And for me, it's like, this is the other piece. This is the other question, right, Ange? I'm gonna throw this to you. Have I been deceived by this person who's wearing a mask, or have I just been validating their bad behavior because I want to rock with them because we've been friends for so long?
That's a good question.
I mean, for real. And I say that because these, like, when I release, you know, and the way that, you know, there's no catch and release method of releasing people, right? But for me, I don't need to speak with you again. You don't, you know, I can tell like, I have a great core circle. Those people check in on me. They know, they, you know, 2 weeks before my birthday comes, they're checking in on me to make, what are we doing? I never get, what am I doing? What are we doing? Where do I need to be? What's going on? And there are people who take an active role in caring about my well-being. And I love that. But then it's like when the code turns, it's like, wait a second. Have I been validating your behavior this whole entire time? Or are you like the Masked Singer, right? Let me put this mask on and show you I can sing. But for me, it's been one of the things that I've been battling most. It's like, who's phony? Who's fake? Right? That's the type of people we hate, you know? And when that song came out, it's like, yeah, whatever. You know, hi, hater, may know, right? But it's really like, you can be in the trenches with someone 25, 30 years, and then all of a sudden it's like, what have I been a part of, right?
Right. Well, I mean, to me, that's just an evolution of you, right? Where you're able to evaluate your life and see, well, what am I doing here that's making me feel this way or making things different for me, right? It's an evaluation of yourself that you're really looking at, saying, where did I go wrong in this? Which is a mature thing to do, especially in a friendship that you feel is kind of turning, to the other way, where you want to evaluate and say, is it me? Am I doing this? Or is it just really that this friendship has now reached this time frame and it's time to end?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because that does happen. Their friendships are not necessarily meant to be forever.
absolutely. I think that that's the piece too. I think that everyone's like, oh, that's my BFF, that's my bestie. When it's like, why can't that just be a great friend? Why does it have to have a title? So, like I said, it's something I've been battling for a while because for me, it's been more hurtful because it's been family. And I will not get emotional. I will absolutely not get emotional right now. But for me, it's been blood. For me, it's been watching people that I've known my whole entire life who can just say things that they say and it's okay because, oh, we're blood and it's just supposed to be okay, right? And so my next theory is just like, how do we know the friendship is turning? Because at the end of the day, especially when it comes to family, we want to see the best in people. We want to see the absolute best, and we want to make sure that not only are we nourishing our relationships, but we're holding people at their highest, right? Which is like telling people what it is and really being honest. And for me, I have been holding on to this one particular relationship, holding and elevating someone no matter how much they throw me through the mud, no matter what they say, no matter, whatever messages I get, whatever it looks like, right? Whatever DMs I get or phone calls I get, it's still, I'm holding them at their absolute highest, no matter how I'm treated. But then I'm not treated in the way in which I would want my friends to treat me. But because it's family, I'm just supposed to give it a pass. Makes sense?
Right.
And the other thing I want to mention for those of you that are listening, definitely we want to hear your thoughts. We want to definitely hear your feedback. So we are, waiting your messages at Crown Confidential. Definitely DM us on Instagram, and that's CROWN Confidential on Instagram. Definitely DM us. We are taking all of your questions, and we definitely want to hear your thoughts on what we are deliberating tonight, and which is really, releasing friendships and growing. And so again, we were coming back to talking about family, right? Do we just give a pass to family because they're blood? Or, do we then stand up for ourselves? Because there's been points in times where I'm like, no, that person's great. That person's amazing. And then again and again and again, you keep getting hurt, but you want to keep the friendship alive. And so, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think I'm always a 3-person stride. I believe in the rule of 3. I'm going to give you 3 opportunities to try me, right? The first one, as I always say, first one, shame on me, second one, shame on you, or however the saying goes. But I like to give people 3 opportunities to see, is it me, or is it you, or is it just a situation?
Yeah.
And after that 3rd time, if I see that, okay, I always look at a situation objectively. I always say, where's my fault in this situation? Did I cause this? And if I cause it, how do I fix it? Right? If I try to fix it and it still continues to cause the same reaction, okay, it's not me, it's you. Right? Let me address it to you and let you know that this is what I'm seeing. And if still nothing changes, okay, then it's over. This is ran its course for me. Because there have been too many times in my life where I've just let a situation continue and continue, and I've just been the one getting hurt. And, you have to protect yourself above all. Above all. It's going to hurt, of course, but there has to come a point where you have to say, okay, enough is enough. I can't continue to be putting myself in situations where I'm the one getting hurt, and I'm the one getting blamed, and I'm the one doing this, when every situation, every angle that I've looked at in a situation, I'm not at fault. Or if I was at fault, I fixed it, and I'm still at fault. And the other person is not willing to communicate how they're feeling or even see their wrongdoing in a situation. Because that's not just one person doing wrong in a situation, it's 2 people. because
Yeah.
there's two feelings involved.
But still, like, and that's great, right? But how do you know when enough is enough, right? Because the other piece is a lot of us, like, my theory is I like to lead with love, right? Although, leading with love doesn't always look like I'm, jumping through dandelion-filled fields and I'm skipping and, Lizzo's playing in the background and I'm popping in these streets, right? It doesn't always mean that. I think, leading with love is forgiveness, right? And so,
Yeah.
a lot of people live by that theory, like, okay, I'm going to forgive and I'm going to forget and I'm going to love. And that was me for a really long time. And the straw that broke the camel's back for me was just a level of disrespect. Like,
Right.
for me,
Right.
if I don't
I mean,
tolerate...
and it really all depends on what you're willing to take.
Mm-hmm.
Your level of comfort,
Mm-hmm.
and how much of it you're willing to be uncomfortable with. Because we can go through life. There's been plenty of times I've gone through being very uncomfortable in situations,
Mm-hmm.
but because I didn't want to lose that friendship, because I valued that friendship over my own self-worth, I continue to be in that situation. There's no set time. You have to be the one to set that time. You have to be the one to say, okay, I've reached my level of comfort in this situation. And I feel like my self-worth is being compromised. Once you get to that kind of understanding that you're putting that person over your own self-worth, that's when the friendship should have ended. Well, it should have ended a long time ago, because your self-worth should never be in question. But for some people, they don't understand that. And it really takes a lot of soul-searching to really come to an understanding of, I cannot put someone else's worth over mine.
And then you get those friends where then they send you, the mixtape. I can't live if living is without you.
I say,
I can't
run.
live. I can't
In those
live
situations,
anymore.
you gotta run, sis. Run. Very far, very fast.
I can't live.
Run, sis, run.
Run,
Don't
right?
look back.
So I cannot with you. Like,
Don't look back. Don't look back
Hold
before
it-
you become a Lifetime movie. Don't
yeah,
look
right. But like, at what point, like, so for me, like, I want to know at what point do we know the friendship is turning, right? So for me, I think the point that the friendship is turning is, again, like that three strike rule. Like, I told you once, I told you twice, and it's not even like correcting the behavior. It's really like modifying it, right? It's like, okay, if you hit a friend in the back, right, and they say, listen, please don't hit me in my back, and then you hit them again, and they're like, please don't hit me in my back, and then you hit them again, and it's like, okay, I told you twice not to hit me in my back. You did it the third time. Like, that's not someone that I want to be around because you don't listen. But then it's like, do you forgive them? Do you love on them? So like, what do you think, like, on a personal level? Because that's the other thing. What I love about Miss Ange is you're like, I'm not you are so your family. It's like, I'm not giving you advice because you're not gonna come back to me and tell me, right? But I think, like, if we're really gonna have this conversation, like, at what point do you for you, what are your indicators that the friendship is turning? And like, for example, for me, it's like just a level of disrespect that I wouldn't tolerate from my friends, right? So if I'm not going to tolerate a level of disrespect from my friends, even if you're family or whatever, you call yourself to me, then that's that. And I think that it's also like seeing the same recurring things for the same 90 and 120 days. Like, if we're okay
Right.
for like a month and then it goes back like 3 months later, you're doing this, then you don't want to be here, and that there's no level of commitment. So for me, it's really a lack of respect, and not even
Yeah.
trust. I think trust we can even build back, right? But I just think that there's what is it, habitual line stepping, right? It's like, y'all don't do it, don't get in the double dutch rope, nobody told you to, you're not invited to this party, sis. But then she in the double dutch rope, and you're like, sis, I told you not to get in the rope, right? I think like with all that being said, I think it's like the habitual line steppers, a level of disrespect, and like also just blatantly lying with the intention to gain something, right? With the intention to gain, not to impact, because I've seen people say like, hey, I did this to do this, right? So like, what are some of your key indicators where like, oh, this friendship's turning, this is
For me, is when I start to, I'm big on space. You know, I'm big on space. Like, I'm very
much
much
space?
very much a person. If I need support, I will request it. Right. When I start to feel like I'm being boxed in, I react, and I don't react positively. I react very negatively, and very nasty. So when I start to feel like my space is being encroached, I'll let you know nicely first. Like, listen, this is getting a little tight.
Do you tell them on Tuesday?
I tell them on Tuesday because I choose
You tell them on
to.
Tuesday?
And when I know it's for sure, like, coming to an end is when I'm not being listened to. If it took me a very long time to be able to voice my opinion. So when I voice my opinion, the expectation is that you're listening and you're understanding, right? So with that understanding comes follow through. If there's no follow through, then you weren't really listening, and that's a problem for me.
Got it.
That's a problem for me.
So the follow through, and I'm hearing listening. Obviously, I'm hearing, right? I'm hearing listening. I mean, yeah, and I think, it's just, having those recurring conversations. I think that's what sucks, is that when you because the thing is, I think that, like, great friends get to communicate with each other and really have powerful conversations. The greatest friends in my circle at this very moment will check me. Like, my biggest pet peeve is a yes person. Yes, Steve. Yes, of course, yes. You got, like, that's great. But yes, people, they don't propel my vision. They don't propel me. They don't push me to go to the gym. They don't, push me to me being extraordinary. Yes, Steve, eat that Big Mac. Yes, Steve, sleeping late. Like, oh, yeah, I'm clear, right? But at the same time, I just think that, there's just a level, because the thing is that, like, that's the whole thing about friendships are relationships, right? And so it's like, you're building with people, and you're building this camaraderie with them, and you're supporting them, you're having talks, and then it comes to, like, a screeching halt when people are not listening to you, or even wanting to, like, really wanting to be honest with people. And I think that, like, the next best topic we get to talk about is, like, how do we tell friends no? Because it's like, what I've noticed is that the greatest people that are in my circle, I've told no to several times. And I've told them to have several seats. And in exchange, they've said no to me, and they've also told me to have several seats. And I respect their gangster for that, because at least they're being honest, right? And at least they're being open. And so, what are, like, for you, I know it's a complete no. Like, it's so funny because
I say all the time, like, whenever someone questions my no, I say no is a complete sentence. I don't need to give you a why.
You're using that HTB structure.
My no was a why.
Yeah, but how do we? But that's the piece. I think that, we, as people, we don't want to tell anyone no. We feel guilty about it. We're ashamed, and I think no is the most powerful word in the world.
It really is. See, the thing with no, right? It means to me, no means you're taking a stand for your self-worth. I remember I got in high school. In elementary school, I was picked on, right? I was yes to everything. Everything you needed, yes. Everything you wanted, yes. Whatever it is that you needed, yes. Even at the discomfort of my comfortability, it was a yes. When I got to high school, I said, no, we're not doing this anymore. We're going to stand up for ourselves. So I remember this girl asked me to do something for her, and my answer was no. And she said, you're such a bitch. I said, why? Because I don't want to do what you want me to do for you? I'll be that then. Because I'm not going to compromise my comfortability and my self-worth for your comfort any longer. So whenever no comes into a conversation, to me, it's that person giving themselves a yes. No, I don't want to go to the post office for you. No, I don't want to, pick up your laundry, drop off your laundry, sort your laundry. No, I'm not doing
Whose laundry are you doing, sis? You pick it up and
that.
no, but
no is just you validating your self-worth to yourself every time you say so.
yeah, most definitely. And I think that like the other part in saying no is us being okay with the reaction. I've noticed in my experience, like in general, we don't like to say no because we're afraid of the reaction of the other person. Like that's
Absolutely.
one of the
I
biggest.
have a friend. That's his favorite word. I love him for it because he will straight up tell you no, and then walk away. I love it because he's like, no, I'm not doing that. No. I'm like, but can you just no? Sorry, so sad. I'm busy, and walks away. I love it. I can't be mad at him for it, because that's just that. You know what? That's what you feel. That's your comfort level. I can't be upset at it. But there are other people that find him to be abrasive.
And I know exactly who it is, and I love him for it. Sashay Shantae.
And I love that about him, but people find it very disconcerting to them because it's just a very no, straight to the facts. No, I'm not doing that, and no explanation needed.
Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of no makes many people uncomfortable. But what are you really uncomfortable with? Are you really is it the rejection, or is it because my friend may or may not have hurt my feelings? Because I've seen it before. Oh, so and so said no to me, and now my life is over. When it's like, no, so and so said no to you because they have a lot of obligations, and even still, like, there's a way we get to gracefully say no, but then it's if you respect that person, right? Because that's the thing about friendships. If you respect the friendship, if you respect the friend, right? When they say no, you applaud them. When they say yes, you applaud them. When they're going through what they're going through, you applaud them. Because for me, I think also it's really hard to differentiate the intentions that people have with you based upon how they're showing up, right? Because I was talking about this yesterday at the Kim Dynasty show. Shout out to Kim Dynasty, doing her thing. Venus versus Mars was like one of the most incredible conversations that I've actually witnessed. People actually having a conversation about things that are really, real life situations. And, the most incredible thing about a friendship and in building on it, it's just we wear masks every day. And so it's like, how long, it's really identifying, like, am I dating a serial person who's masking, or am I really creating a relationship that's open? And what I love about the word no is that most people who say no are fully in their power, fully in control most times of their lives, and also present to the fact that they don't have to give their power away to other people by saying yes and people pleasing. I think that's where we lose the source. That's where we lose the power, that we want to people please everybody. We want everybody to be happy. I've seen so many people pleasers, people pleasing so much like politicians, but yet on the core, because they're trying to withhold other relationships up to make other people happy, they're so miserable. And deep down, like, they're literally like that, the friend that if there's a hole, they're going to fix. If there's something to do, they're going to jump in and save the day. But at their core, because they're out there busy saving lives and they don't know how to say no, all their relationships are making them miserable, whether it be a personal relationship, of friendship, or family. They're trying to hold all that together, and it shames them to say no to anyone, that they're so miserable that they're actually wearing the mask and perpetuating the lifestyle that we're talking about, right? That people pleaser syndrome. And so it's like, for me, my biggest pet peeve is the people pleaser. How do we break the cycle of, the head nodding and saying yes and just being okay with everything. Because I think that, especially as women, we want everyone to get along and we want everybody to kumbaya. But listen, sis, everyone is not built for this ship. Everyone is not built for this flight. Everyone is not built for your elevation. And I think that once we identify that everyone is not built the same way, and the people that were with you 10 years ago don't need to catch this flight with you because they want to catch feelings and not flights, I think that it goes a little bit deeper into the place of like, they're uncomfortable because of you. Makes sense? And so it's like, at what point do we identify like, you know what, I got to release this?
I think when you realize that's the key. When you realize that, like you sent me a passage the other day from this book you were reading, where it says, "Leave your friends alone."
Huh. You want to read it out loud, sis?
I'm gonna read a little bit of it here.
Yeah, because I'm looking at it right now. Go for it.
Yeah, it says, "Too often, instead of working on our own change, we decide which of our friends need to change. This too is resistance. In the early days of my work, I had a client who would send me to all her friends in the hospital. Instead of sending them flowers, they would have me go fix up their problems. I would arrive with my tape recorder in hand, usually finding someone in bed who didn't even know why I was there or understand what I was doing. This was before I learned never to work with anyone unless he or she requested. When something works for all of us, we often want to share it with others, but they may not be ready to make a change at that point in their time and space. It's hard enough to make changes when we want to, but to try and make someone else change when he or she doesn't want to is impossible. It ruins good friendships. I push my clients to because they come to me, I leave my friends alone."
Yes, and let me tell you, that for me was a game changer. And that passage comes from, we want to quote her, she is an international best-selling author, more than 30 million copies sold. That was Louise L. Hay with You Can Heal Your Life. Shout out to Durga for leaving that in my house. And so one of the things that I loved about that passage was I was giving a lot of people unsolicited coaching advice, love advice, and it was I'm on the phone convincing people of, I was on the phone for a really long time. Y'all ready for story time, right? let me clear my throat. I was really offering up advice and really building people up, and I noticed what I was doing was I was talking to mediocre people into their extraordinary cape, and they weren't ready to walk that path. And I had to realize that my coaching services and the services that I provide come at a cost. And the more that I'm free being who I am and the value that I'm giving to people who don't want it, is taking away from the people that get to have it. And in addition to taking away from the people that get to have it, it's also taking away from me, because I'm forcing my ideals on people and trying to I'm pushing them into their extraordinary. Oh my God, I'm being great. When really I'm being detrimental to them, because that's not who they are. Because the other piece is I want them to wear my hat. I want them to be this successful. But they have to want that for themselves. And I think that in me growing, I'm noticing more and more and more, I could talk to you for an hour about how to build your wealth. I can talk to you for an hour about how to build structure. I can talk to you for an hour about how to create X, Y, and Z. However, what I'm not able to do is have you believe in yourself so much that you can actually have that come to fruition. And I push my ideals on people. And this was something that I like I said, I'm not giving unsolicited coaching advice, right? But then I was realizing that I was more afraid about losing my mediocre friends instead of releasing them to be around extraordinary winners. So I wanted to push them into the extraordinary so that I don't lose them in this transition, knowing like, okay, you're a different person. You don't have to be here. And you don't have to wear the mediocre hat like, okay, yeah, I hate my job and I hate my life and I hate my this and I hate, that's not me. That's not me. That's never been me. That will never be me. I love everything I do with my heart and my soul. I do my best every single solitary day, and I think that like what I took from Vanessa Claremont, shout out to Vanessa, Lifestyle Blends. What I took away from her interview when she was here a few weeks ago was the fact that I get to walk through the door and leave the day behind me, knowing that I put my best foot forward and not trying to change people. And I think that that's the other piece. Like I personally still get caught up in like, oh, you're still here. Like you're still here doing this thing that I was doing 5 years ago when I know what you're capable of, and I'm looking at people in my immediate circle like, are we still doing that, right? Not knowing maybe that's what they love, and maybe that's the life that they choose, and that's okay too, right? But then the question is, how long do I stay in these circles? And like I said, I'm not here to like name names or names. I'm just saying in general, like this is an evolution in the process that I've been going through for the past 5 years during my personal development journey, during becoming an empowerment coach, starting and founding HTB. Like this is something that's evolving. So for anyone out there who thinks this is like personal shots at you, trust me, if it were personal shots, I get right at you. Like I'm just putting it out there. What I'm saying is that this is something that I've been dealing with my whole life because let me raise my hand. My name is Alicia Rodriguez and I'm a reformed people pleaser. Like I'm not into that anymore. And I think that, one of the scariest things is losing love that I have with people who don't want to, move their life. They're okay with where they're at. For me, it was really scary because I'm like, wait a second. You're good here, and yeah, I'm good. I'm fine. But you're not. You're not. You're really like not good here. You're not good here. You're not happy. You're projecting. You're blowing up my phone. You're projecting your stuff on me. And at the same time, I feel so incredibly guilty because you're such a great person. However, because you don't see you're extraordinary, how long am I going to be here in limbo, pulling you out of what you think you are to what I know you can be? And is that even my responsibility? Because that's the other piece too. Because if you're a good friend and you want your friends to work and be like me and Ange, like not for nothing, people are like, oh my God, you have a great relationship. Nah, we have a great relationship because I remember a few weekends ago we had a conversation, and it must have been a 2-hour conversation about how we're holding each other and we're being mediocre in our life. And it was the realest conversation that we had ever had each other in our entire friendship. And we talked about legacy, we talked about building, we talked about kids, we talked about failed relationships, and it was a 2-hour conversation where we were digging so far deep that we're both crying on the phone because we know that this conversation is going to elevate the friendship. And the thing is that I don't think that we're having enough of those conversations with people, and it's like, how long do I stay in limbo with someone when I really want to say this, but I don't want to say this because I know what either their reaction is going to be, or I know that the friendship is going to be over, right? And so am I okay with doing away with those relationships, and or am I okay with being mediocre myself?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I always say, I've said this to a few of my friends. I can't be someone else's anchor. A lot of times in friendships, people want you to save them. And I cannot be your anchor. I can't be your lifeboat, because if you squeeze too hard, I'm going to pop. Now we're both sinking. You have to learn to be your own anchor in life. You were born alone, you're going to die alone.
You've always said that.
Always. So you have to learn to sometimes support is not going to be available to you. Support is not going to be there because other people have things going on in their lives that take precedent over you. So you have to learn to support yourself. You have to learn to pull yourself out of, pull yourself by your bootstraps. You have to look yourself in the mirror and face your own demons, because there's no one else that's going to fight that battle for you. There's no white horse that's going to come. There's no knight on a horse that's going to come and slay your demons for you. Those are your demons. They're for you to slay. And only you to slay. Until you slay those demons, you will never be able to see yourself in your true potential. So you have to save yourself sometimes. And it's the hardest thing to do. One of the hardest things to do, especially for people pleasers.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It is the hardest thing to do, to look at yourself in the mirror and be very objective with who you are. You're good, bad, and you're ugly, and slay those demons. But you have to be your own anchor, because if you're not your own anchor, you're going to fail. You know, we can have some lifeboats, some little arm supports from here and there for friends to support, but those only last for a certain time. After a while, they can't support you no more because they ain't got nothing to give. You can only pour into somebody for a certain amount before you need to recharge and pour into yourself. So it's uber important in a conversation of growth and friendships that each person pours into themselves first before pouring into someone else. You can't expect someone to pour continuously into you and you think that it's going to be okay. No, at some point they're going to be like, I can't do this anymore.
But then at what point is it like teetering, right? Because then that's the other thing. In being authentic, right? In being like 100% real and 100% authentic, have we really, like, especially when it comes to that point where, you know, you want to have certain conversations, right? And you're really ready to release. Have we been all authentic in our delivery in the friendship, being where you are and you're like, well, this ain't really working out to me? Or are we being disloyal, right? Because we always talk about, we throw up loyalty and no snitching, right? Snitching for those ages 5 to 17, those, so my adults, please snitch on these kids. But for me, you know, is it, because I feel like it's that line, that fine line that you walk across. Okay, so am I going to be loyal to this person, or am I going to be responsible to my feelings, right? Because like you said, you know, it's really being that anchor. And then it's like, okay, so what was the friendship to begin with, right? If you didn't love the person for who they were. Because then that's the piece that it comes back to. Well, if you're a coach, you know, you shouldn't judge and you should just love on people and forgive them and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, forgiveness is key and right. And, you know, I'm out here preaching this. And then at the same time, I'm really listening to my demons. Like, okay, are you going to love on this person and support them the way that you said that you are? Or are you going to, you know, do you? Like, you know, and that's me playing devil's advocate, right? Are you a really good friend where you're just going to love someone for who they are, or are you going to be, I guess, the real friend who's going to be responsible about their feelings, right? So I think it's like, how do we maneuver the two?
That's tough.
I know. That's what I'm dealing with. That's the whole piece.
You can love that person for who they are, but you can also love them from afar. If they're not, if they're draining your energy or your vibe too much, where you have to constantly replenish yourself, then that's really not a friendship. That's just someone who's taking from you what they can't produce themselves.
Takers.
They're a succubus. You know, they're just taking what you have because they don't know how to produce it themselves, because they're not ready to face their demons. So their demon is saying, well, you don't have this, so let's take it from this person. Subconsciously, they think they're being a great friend, right? They think they're doing all these things that are wonderful, but in reality, they're just pulling your energy from you. And you're wondering, like, what is it that's about this is off, right? Because your body and your subconscious is telling you something is off here.
Yeah.
You know, you could always tell. When the friendship starts to go sour, you always know.
Yeah.
You never want to face it, but you know.
Yep. That's
you know, your body's telling you, this person is taking too much from us. We got to go.
We got to go. So let's talk about, and let's wrap with this. Like, so, you know, one of the biggest conundrums that I deal with often is whether I'm, you know, loving people and meeting them where they're at, or being responsible around my energy. Because my goal this year, our goal this year as a team is to impact 500,000 lives, right?
Right.
And 500,000 lives doesn't, you know, that requires a lot of footwork, a lot of motivation, a lot of dedication, and then being responsible to self-care and who I am, right? But in addition, if we're as an organization, as a people, if we're preaching love and we're preaching forgiveness, yet we don't open space for that, then who are we really? And that's one of
Right.
the things that, I constantly struggle with. And so it's like, well, then how do we release people? Or do we?
I think they see, that's a tough one for me. Because,
Me too, sis. That's why we're talking about it.
yeah, that's why we're
Confidential.
talking about it. Because, yeah, as a reformed people pleaser, it is tough, right? I've come to learn my demons and slay my demons. But this particular demon, this people-pleasing demon, always seems to kind of pop up. Right?
Like the
And
Grinch who stole Christmas.
Okay, so I'm constantly having to slay this person on the regular. It's tough because, in some relationships, you can be, that other person can be so dependent upon you
Yeah.
that the concern comes in that if they no longer have that energy to pull from, what can happen?
Yeah.
And those things that's a very tough situation. So those have to be handled gently, personally. They have to be handled gently.
Or do they? Or that's the whole piece. Or do they need to be handled gently? Because that's the other thing too. Are we then, because that, this releasing people and growth and our discussion, it goes way deeper than just saying, bye ho. Like, it goes way deeper
Yeah.
than just saying, this ain't for me. It goes deeper than just blocking people on Facebook and not, like, we're talking about levels. We're talking about relationships. We're talking about, this can, we can be talking about a 20, 30-year marriage, right? Like, it's not as simple as just waking up one day and saying, okay, I'm going to walk, right? And that's the piece. Like, are we making it more difficult than what it actually needs to be? Or are we coddling feelings, right? And supporting people because we don't want to hurt their feelings, but yeah, we cut our
Right.
nose off to spite our face. So which one is it?
Yeah, I don't have. Girl, I'm still trying to find a question for that.
Yeah, I think, and then the process is it's mind blowing because once you get to those levels, we're like, well, if I do and it's not just analyzing, right? But it's really being honest and being 100% authentic with yourself with what you need and what you don't. And so, like, I guess my last question for the evening, or the last thing that I want to discuss is like, well, how do you then release things that are not serving you without hurting anyone?
There's always going to be, as cold as this may sound, right? And I don't want it to come off as that. This is just reality, right? There's always a winner and there's always a loser. That's just the reality of life, right? I know we've been taught that every situation is a win-win,
Yeah.
right? But in some situations, that doesn't necessarily happen. And in these particular situations, that's where I feel like it may not happen. That could be the pessimist in me, it could be the realist in me. I just don't see a win-win for that situation. Because, yeah, you'll be okay, but that other person is now in a situation where they feel, left out in the cold.
Or do they? Because, like I said, just to wrap, like, am I going to give up my life for somebody so that they can feel better about themselves? Or am I going to stand in my truth and be the person that I am without pleasing anyone, knowing that I was as honest as I could be and I gave it my absolute all, and this is what it is. And either you love me or you don't.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, both parties are going to be okay.
Yeah.
Life goes on, You're going to go on doing what you need to do and feeling what you need to feel. And that person is eventually going to learn to stand up on their own and find what they're looking for within themselves. Because, when you have an energy that, what's the word I'm looking for, is nurturing, right? You attract people that are looking for nurture.
Yeah.
And when that energy is no longer gone, they have to find something else to supply them that nurture. The best way to do that is to find that within yourself. You nurture. You feed yourself. That's why I always say self-care is not selfish, right? Because you have to nurture yourself. No one else is going to feed it to you. You're not a baby, right? You're a grown person. You should be able to nurture yourself however that looks to you. Whatever fills your cup with good vibes and good feelings and makes you feel whole, that's what you need to do. That shouldn't come from somebody else. That needs to come from your own cup.
Yep.
In the center of your, in your soul, in the center of your being, where your chakras align. That has to come from you.
She said where your chakras are aligned. Yes.
It has to come for you. And when that person is no longer the factor, you're going to adapt. Your body's going to adapt one way or another. You're going to learn to nurture yourself, whether by force or by choice.
Yes. And on
we rather it be by choice.
Yeah,
but
really.
If it's by force, it will be.
Yep. And on that note, I think that was a really powerful conversation. We dropped a lot of gems.
It was so good.
Oh my God, that's because it was just you and me. No.
And folks, this is the kind of conversation me and Dee have on the regular.
Yeah, these are because it's so telling of us, because we always consider everyone, right, when we're doing things or whatever the case may be. People think there's some people that don't believe, they just we really think about a lot of different options and a lot of ways we can enhance our capabilities, not just as friends to one another, but to friends in our circle. And I think that one of the hardest parts about relationships is not getting them, because we can make friends really easy. It's really maintaining it. And I'll leave you with this. Trust your gut. Trust your gut. I think that's one of the most powerful pieces we can leave you with as we wrap. And last but not least, Crown Confidential Conference will be happening. It is happening May 2nd, 2020. We will definitely let you go live. We will let you know when we are going live and when we are releasing registration. You absolutely want to be in the building. You have no idea what we are putting. As I've put it to everyone else, this is HTB's wedding. This is Hey There Beautiful's wedding. So it is Crown Confidential Conference, May 2nd. It's from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Yes, I said 8 a.m. You want to be there on time so that you can definitely join our Power Hour networking breakfast. And additionally, you don't want to miss the performances, the performers, and all the things that we have jam-packed for you that day. It's a day of mothers and daughters building bonds and really connecting, building love, trust, and connection. Once again, Crown Confidential Conference, May 2nd. We want to wish you a happy Valentine's Day.
Yes, happy Valentine's Day.
We hope you get what I tell a lot of people, butt touches. I was asking someone the other day, I was like, did you touch her butt? And he was like, what? I'm like, did you touch her butt? Just say you touched her butt. And he was like, yeah, I touched the butt. I was like, yeah, because but Angie and I are suckers for love. That's one thing we definitely are. We are suckers for love and what love stands for. And so we want to wish you a happy V-Day. Please be safe. Please be safe. You're going to make remember, if you're going to make a baby, it's going to be a Scorpio, right? And so,
that's right.
So definitely tune in next week. We will be here Monday. You do not want to miss our feed on IG, so definitely check us out at Crown Confidential. So on IG at Crown Confidential. Angie, where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram and what is my Instagram handle? Wait, MZ_ANG34.
I'm not claiming her as a friend right now. And my IG is at DAILISHA. That's right, Dilisha, at DAILISHA. Definitely look for us at Crown Confidential so that you can stay tuned to our moves. I think this is a really, really great conversation. Next week, we're going to talk about love. And we're also going to have story time on what Valentine's Day look like. So definitely submit stories. If you have any questions, we are here for it. We really want to really support our listeners. So definitely feel free to email us, hello at Crown Confidential. If you're looking to be a guest on our show, hello again at Crown Confidential. So it's hello at crownconfidential.com. Definitely check us out. We're super, super grateful. Thank you so much to Jay, who is behind the boards today, killing the whole game. Hey, Jay. And we would just want to thank everyone. Shout out to WEMS Radio. Radio. Shout out to everyone who's listening far and wide. We just want to thank you for your time, for your energy, and for tuning in. So tell a friend to tell a friend, and we'll be back next week, and we're going to be talking about love. Happy Valentine's Day. We're out. Crown Confidential.